Good morning and welcome to Wednesday Wisdom. I hope everybody's doing fine this morning. It's a great day here in Virginia. The sun's shining, cool temperatures, and having a wonderful time spending some time with our beautiful, beautiful sister Caroline. And just hope you guys are having a great day. Today, we're going to continue our lesson from John Maxwell's Becoming a Person of Influence. We're on lesson number 5, and today's lesson is titled, To Become a Person of Influence, We Must Understand People. Now, I don't know about you, but there are some people in this world that I just absolutely do not understand. And there have been people that I have worked with and worked for that I didn't understand. So let me ask you a quick question. How well do you understand people? What are some of the hurdles that you have had to go through to better understand people? I know that back in my recruiting days, I had an individual who worked for me that I just absolutely could not understand why this individual was not more successful in recruiting than he was. He was smart, he was talented, he was a great talker, he could sell everything that the guard offered. But at the end of the day, he couldn't close, and I never could quite understand that. And so understanding people is so important in our journey to become better influencers. I couldn't influence him to do the things that he needed to do to be truly successful in his job, in his journey. So understanding people is so very important. Perhaps not as important as our lesson from last week as listening, but if we're listening better, then we can certainly understand people better. And we're going to talk about that just a bit today as we look at the dividends that we can receive when we are better listeners and understand people better. And it's really pretty simple. It's really pretty simple. It's all about us taking the time to put ourselves in a situation where we are paying attention and watching, listening, and caring about the other person more than we are ourselves so that we can better understand. So let me just share a few things with you today. It says there are a few things bigger than understanding people. The benefits, the dividends that we receive when we understand people is exponential. If we can't understand people, then it's going to be really hard for us to work with them, or for them. And if we can't work with people, it's going to be really, really hard for us to find any way to make our jobs better, to accomplish things, to be successful in our journey. Understanding people can be a tremendous asset as long as we're willing to get out of that comfort zone that we talk about all the time and be vulnerable and try to understand people, looking at it from their perspective rather than ours. You know, Harry Truman said it this way. He says, when we understand the other fellow's viewpoint, understand what he's trying to do, 9 times out of 10, what he's trying to do is the right thing. Now, Harry Truman was in a whole different time than we are. And I'm not sure that all people are trying to do the right things today. So we really have to try to get in there and understand better. So how can we understand? How can we improve our understanding? Well, there are really some things that hold us back in that area of understanding, and they're not anything that we don't already know about. It's actually things that we've talked about many times over, but they're the same things that hold us back from being good listeners, having great integrity, all the things that we've talked about. You know, but one of the biggest things, really, there are 4 things I want to share about why people fail to understand others. and you can guess what the first one is, and it falls right into something we always can relate to, is that we have some kind of fear that is holding us back. And that fear is usually based on our thinking. You know, we always have this thinking thing going on, and if we have a barrier that's between us and what the other person is doing, whether it's fear of our own failure to understand or fear that they might not understand where we're coming from. But fear gets in our way in a lot of things, in a lot of ways. You know, that fear of being rejected, that fear of being left out, that fear of being criticized, all of those fear factors get in our way. That fear of failing, they all stand between us and our listening. They stand between us and our understanding. They stand between us and our successes and getting out of our comfort zones. And to understand people, just like listening, sometimes it means we have to get out of our comfort zone and do things that we don't necessarily enjoy doing. The second thing that gets in our way of understanding people is self-centeredness, when we're thinking about ourselves more than we are about others. And we all live in that world of the me society where everything is about me and our self-centeredness. And we always focus on the I word rather than the we word. But there are things that we can do to change that. You know, we can move forward and think about others. The second thing, or the third thing that we have to deal with when we're thinking about trying to understand people better, is to understand that you know, sometimes it's about changing our attitude a little bit. You know, we think about, okay, so we've talked about fear and self-centeredness. Then what about the failure to appreciate the differences that we all experience? You know, when we start thinking about and reflecting on the differences, then we start respecting other people. So our failure to appreciate our differences, you know, when we can respect the other person's opinion, when we can look at it from a perspective, okay, I'm going to learn something from this, then it will help us in our journey to understand them better. But what we do is we immediately put up a barrier and say, no, I'm not going to listen to that. I'm not going to pay any attention to me about where you are, what you're saying. It's all about me, and I'm not going to be interested in that. And so we immediately fail in our journey to try to understand that other person. A book that I've just started reading, and I've only read the first chapter, is called The Third Option. And that third option is really about trying to look at things from the perspective of the other person. And when we can start doing that, it really makes a difference in our journey, in everything, and understanding people from their perspective, from where they are. All right, for the fourth thing is that we fail to recognize the similarities that we have. We oftentimes in this world and in this day and time, we think about the differences. We think about the things we don't have in common. But what about the things that we do have in common? We all have something in common. You know, I mean, there's one thing we can all say, we're all part of this one great nation. So we do have something in common. And while we might have different views politically, religious, whatever it is, but there are things that we have in common. And so when we find that thing that we have in common, then we need to focus on that and try to use that to build that relationship so that we can better understand people. And when we get to that understanding phase, then we can start to influence people in a more positive way. So what are some things that we can do right now to improve this? These are things that that we all need to understand about people. And this is just so true. This is just so powerful. And the information is, I mean, it's just really common sense. And it's so easy for us. It's so easy for us. And it's a very short list. But here's something I know, and this is so true about me, and I'm pretty sure it's true about you. Everybody wants to be somebody. I mean, nobody wants to be a nobody. And that's kind of a funny statement. Nobody wants to be a nobody. Everybody wants to be recognized for something. Everybody wants to be known for something. Everybody wants to be somebody. Now, that doesn't mean they want to be the most popular person or they want to be on stage, but they do want to have something that they're known for. They may not necessarily share that all the time, but I can tell you, all of us want to be known for something. And for us, we want to be known for people who are making a change in the world, who have the vision and the desire to make this place better, and the people that we come in contact better. And so that's what we want to be known for. That's what we want somebody to be somebody for. So this is one of my favorite John Maxwellisms, and this goes back many, many years ago. In fact, when I was running for the president of our national chapter of the Enlisted Association, this was my tagline. It says this, it says, nobody cares how much you know until they know how much you care. And that was my tagline. And I won the election because people knew that it wasn't how much I knew, but it was about how much I cared for the organization and for the people that were in the organization. And when we can show them that we care about them, then it certainly has a big and huge impact on how well we can understand them. And this is another great one. And while there are a lot of people out there who are standoffish and they act like they don't want to be around people, but I can promise you, everybody needs somebody in their life, somebody that is for them. And if we are for people, then you know that you can make an impact in their lives and you can better understand where they're coming from because you are for them and you're looking to find ways to be for them and you're focused on them. And so that understanding helps us and grows us and helps increase our influence in everything we do. And that's what it's all about, is how can we positively impact people in our journey, those that we come in contact with. The fourth one is everybody can be somebody when somebody else understands and believes in them. You know, I've shared this virtually in every lesson that we've had about the believing in people, believing in yourself, believing in others. When we have that belief, then we can certainly believe and understand people better. And the fifth one is very simple this. Anybody who helps somebody influences. So our goal should be to take those 5 things, those 5 little short messages and use them. You know, everybody wants to be somebody. People don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. Everybody needs somebody. Everybody needs to be understood by somebody and somebody to believe in them. And when we do that, we can have greater influence on a lot of bodies. So I ask you these final closing questions here. What are you doing to understand people? And I want you to think about this. I want you to rate yourself as you think about this. How hard are you working to understand others? Where and how can you improve the skill of understanding? So as we rate ourselves on this, I want you to think about these. I'm going to start with the lowest and go to the highest. So if you are poor in applying your understanding, your mindset might be like this. Most of the time, people, feelings, and motivations are mysteries to me, and I definitely need to do better in the understanding area. I'll read that again. Poor. If you're poor in the area of understanding, most of the time, people, feelings, and motivations are mysteries to me. I definitely need to do better in this area. The next level is fair. Fair. I am surprised by people just as often as I am able to anticipate thinking. I consider my ability to understand others to be average. I'm surprised by people just as often as I am able to anticipate their thinking. I consider my ability to understand others to be average. If I'm good at understanding people, most of the time, what people do and what makes good sense to me, I consider my ability to understand people as an asset. And then the final one is superior. I can nearly always anticipate how people will feel and react at any given situation. Understanding is one of my strongest abilities. So I ask you, where do you fit on that scale? Are you superior in your understanding? Are you good in your understanding? Are you fair, or are you poor and need much work in that area? I know I'm not as good as I think I am, and there are lots of areas that I need to try to work on. And that's the great thing about this journey we're on, is that we have the opportunity to grow and become better in everything that we do. So here's our plan. Here's our plan for understanding better. Here's our plan. We can improve ourselves immediately by asking these 4 questions each time we meet someone new. As you're having the conversation, think about, where did they come from? Where are they from? One of the greatest questions that I was ever asked in a situation where I met someone was, when I told them my name, she said, "Where did you get your name? Do you like your name?" You know, she really made me feel important by asking me that question. So where did you come from? Where do you want to go? What's your vision? What's on your journey? What's on your roadmap to success? Where are we placing the focus? We're placing that focus on them, not on us. And we're starting to understand them better because we are growing in understanding of where they're from, where they're going. What is it that you need? What can I help you with? That's a great question for us on our journey. And how can I help you? Every time we meet somebody new, if we can ask those 4 questions, think about the information you can gain from that. Think about the understanding you can gain from that and how you can certainly better understand the person that you're sharing with. So as we go through this week, as we go through the rest of this year? What ways can you use this tool, these simple information sharing that I just gave you, to better understand people? And when we better understand people, we can better influence them. And the better we influence, the more positive change we can make in this world. Hey, I hope you all have a great week. They'll now be traveling tomorrow, so we ask for prayers. And we look forward to seeing you again next Wednesday with another lesson from John Maxwell's Becoming a Person of Influence. Y'all have a great day. Thank you.